In the early 1970s, a young Igarashi Mikio was employed at an advertising agency doing print work. It was there that he really began experimenting with creating manga in his free time. After deciding to go professional, he released his first big hit, Bono Bono, in 1986. It's a story about a naive young sea otter living with his father and getting into wacky situations with his other animal friends. It's a very slice-of-life manga with a lot of comedic elements. It did well for him, and there was even an anime adaptation that released in 1995, and even a new one that released in 2016, 30 years after the manga debuted. Of course, the focus of today's video is about the second series he created called Ninpen Manmaru. The manga released in April 1995 and ran until 1999, published by Monthly Shonen Gangan, owned by Enix, the same Enix that would eventually merge with Square. It would get an anime adaptation that ran for 30 episodes. As far as I can tell, Wikipedia states there's 48 for some reason, but most other sources I find claim 30, and that's all the episodes that I've been able to find. Sadly, the show and manga were never localized, and there are no fan translations as of yet. It stars Manmaru the Ninja Penguin, a new student at the Nenga Ninja School. He's actually a super talented ninja who's able to use all kinds of magical ninja abilities, but he's completely oblivious to his own skills. He's only able to utilize these abilities whenever he's in trouble, if he's scared or really wants someone to stop fighting. But whenever someone asks about it, he doesn't really know what just happened. He's just happy that things are okay. He's a real airhead who kinda just wants to play around and have fun and make origami, but he's still determined to become a great ninja. He studies the art of ninjutsu amongst other animals, like his friends Tanutaro, the hot-headed tanuki ninja who might seem rude but really has a big heart, and Tsunejiro, a gentle fox with a knack for sewing. Tanutaro and Tsunejiro are like two brothers who always butt heads but remain friends through it all. They're a really fun duo, and I always like seeing Manmaru trying to break up their fights. It's so cute. The old man that brought our beloved penguin to the school is also his biggest fan, who thinks Manmaru is just the cutest thing of all time, which is just true. He even builds a robot to protect him, called Bora, but this silly guy kinda just ends up causing more problems than actually helping out. And of course there's Nenga's rival, Shirosa, who takes an interest in Nenga's new student. This guy is often followed by Ranko. She's a rabbit who's got plenty of skills, but also has a massive crush on Shirosa. She's a part of the Kunoichi clan. Manmaru doesn't know it, but joining the school also means that he's become a part of the school rivalry, where he often finds himself butting heads with the dog students of the Iga clan and the monkeys of Koga. The episodes are split into two 10-minute segments containing their own little story. It's very lighthearted, cute, and funny, with an undeniable charm. It's just a delightful show that I think deserves to be watched by more people. Since the publishing company was owned by Enix, they were the ones who decided to also publish the game based on the series, and the game was developed by Tamtam. Starting it up shows this adorable FMV cutscene of Manmaru playing around with his football and getting into silly situations. It's so cute. I'll be playing the fan translation for this video. Loading up a new save shows off cute illustrations with some limited animation. These are what the cutscenes in the game look like. Nenga, the ninja master, recognizes that Manmaru has a lot of talent, but he wants to find some way for Manmaru to control his abilities. So he calls to Manmaru, who then goes to see him, but the room is empty. Nenga then appears out of the floor and Manmaru is very impressed. Nenga has set up a challenge for him, drawing out a map for Manmaru to follow and getting the fellow Nenga Ryu students and others to challenge him on the way. The reward is a sparkly golden piece of origami paper, which Manmaru desperately wants, and so we're off. The game is a fairly simple 3D platformer. The controls take some getting used to. It's got tank controls, so it kinda reminds me of Croc in a way. It's honestly pretty easy for me to get into. Up and down on the D-pad moves you back and forth, while left and right usually would make you rotate in place. In this game it makes you also walk forward when you do it. If you want to rotate in place, you have to use the L and R buttons. I wish I could change this, like swap it around. That would be perfect, but it's not too big of a deal. It didn't take too long for me to adjust to. The visuals are really great. The colors just pop and the art style is so fun. The wacky enemy designs and colorful textures all fit in perfectly. The music is just as vibrant as the visuals are, with some memorable and fun tracks. It just makes you want to vibe out in this funny world filled with silly animals. It's got some bops. You switch between two level types, small and open areas where you usually try to get to the top, and long and linear areas where you try to reach the end. The goal is always the same: land on the end platforms and collect coins on the way. 100 coins nets you an extra life. There are power-ups like faster running and higher jumps, which are temporary. They're fun to use, and the music starts going fast too. You can also pick up hearts, which fully restores your health. You can get hit a handful of times before you die, but when you do, you have to go back to the beginning of the stage, which for the longer levels levels can be kind of a pain. There are also power downs, like an ability that makes you unable to jump for a few seconds, which in a platforming game kind of just means it's a waste of time. And there's also an ability that makes movement slower, which you're just kind of sitting around for them to not be a thing anymore. At least they're pretty easy to avoid. At the end of each area, after completing several levels, you take on one of your friends in a challenge run. The first one is against Tanutaro. You race to collect the most coins, and whoever has the most at the end wins. This one's actually really challenging. I mean, I actually liked it, but I could imagine that it's way too hard for most kids. It's kind of a surprising difficulty jump considering how easy the first world is. But there was something exciting about grabbing coins before the little tanuki did. Getting to area 2, we have more of the longer levels. These start out really fun and challenging, jumping around spikes and above lava. There was this one section I didn't really like where you have to land on some pretty small platforms and you have to climb all the way up if you fall down. The platforms are very forgiving and you can stand pretty far off of the edge before falling down. And the spacing of a normal jump will always easily clear it. They really should have made this a bit easier. This is too early on in the game for this hard of a challenge. Some platforms have a switch mechanic where you land on it to activate a function you need to progress. Often it involves said platform starting to move, which is all well and good. But for some of these switches, they make new platforms appear somewhere else. If the platform spawns in front of you, good, you know where to go next. But sometimes they'll spawn elsewhere and you won't know where they are. And the new platforms don't really have a distinct look. They can look like any other platform you'll see in the level normally. So you have to look around to find a new path that you weren't able to go before. There is an audio cue to let you know that something happened, but you kinda gotta go explore and figure out what exactly. That would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that some platforms move and make new ones spawn. So you think you're making progress while standing on this platform, only to realize that you have to backtrack a bit to get up. It's not too bad, but like, man, I wish they added some sort of clarity to some of this. The next challenge you get to is playing tag with Monroe, the mole. It's pretty easy, just keep running in a big circle. You can get speed ups if you want, but it's not necessary. After this, we get to Tsunejiro, the fox. This challenge is pretty fun. It's almost like a Mario Party minigame. You gotta knock him off the platform before the time limit runs out, and you can't get knocked off yourself. Grabbing the speed up really helps here, while the power downs actually serve a good gameplay purpose for the first time, and making this section more challenging. It's a fun little thing, but it's over pretty fast. I almost wish that they did more with this. After getting to the cloudy levels, you have these cloud platforms that let you jump a lot higher. These are honestly pretty fun. I also found the level design to be some of the most enjoyable here, save for one gripe. There's a lot of jumps that require you to space yourself pretty well to pull off triple jumps. I think the game starts to rely on these too much in this section. I think keeping the platforming simple and just having fun obstacles or set pieces would be fine. I wouldn't have minded if the entire game was like the first level. Pretty simple, but fun and satisfying. This control scheme is fine in and of itself as long as the level design complements it, and for the most part it does, but in some of these sections you have to have the perfect amount of space to do a triple jump or kind of turn into it, and it's just kind of annoying. Anyways, it's not too hard to get through, and after this we'll face off against Ranko of the Kuno clan. It's a small maze where we need to find a switch to open a passage, and then get through that and find her before time runs out. Another totally decent little challenge. After getting through the winter area, which thankfully doesn't have ice physics, maybe because you play as a penguin, I don't know, you face a challenge from the new character, Kaede. She was specifically made for this game. She's from the same clan as Ranko. In this challenge you have to collect more coins like with Tanutaro, but this time around it's surprisingly way easier. It's because this time around they included the larger coins which give you 10 coins, and if you just get both of them she'll never be able to catch up. I was kind of disappointed that it wasn't as challenging or fun as last time, but whatever. An easy challenge is at least better than a frustrating one. The next world takes place within a temple where you have to find Master Nenga. These platform challenges are pretty fun and don't rely on tight spacing or having to do triple jumps all the time, but there are some spots that can be a little finicky, especially this one with the enemies going on these small platforms. I feel like the only way I could get through it is to get hit by the first guy, don't fall off, just get lucky enough, damage boost through, and then quickly jump through them. If you fall down, you have to start the level over. I checked out a long play, and this other person managed to like perfectly get around them. It seems hard to do, but it's possible, I guess. After this, we have to run away from Nenga. He'll try to knock you down, so don't lose all your health, and you win. That's the end of the game. Manmaru gets both a golden origami paper that he was promised, and a new silver one too. He tries to fold a figure of Nenga, and the day comes to an end. Genuinely, this game would be really great with just some minor tweaks. Make it more clear when and where new platforms appear. Put a checkpoint in the middle of some levels and make some of the jumps a little easier to make. And then bam, you'd have a little hidden gem of a game. Sadly, I can't recommend this one without using save states. I tried beating it on my actual Saturn, but I just got too annoyed with it. So I resorted to using Mednafen and relying on save states about halfway through the game. That way, I actually had a really good time with it. It just needs to be more forgiving, and that way the game's good qualities could really shine. But as the game stands, it's sadly only decent. I really wish I could say it's amazing, since it's the only exclusive 3D platformer on Saturn that isn't 2.5D or uses sprite-based characters and a lot of 2D elements. And the other full 3D platformer I can think of is Croc, which released on other systems, though the Sega Saturn version is still great. If only we had seen more 3D platformers on the console, but sadly the complex architecture of the Saturn made it more of a 2D powerhouse with 3D capabilities, and getting games like this to run well on the system was not an easy task. But I'm glad this title exists, and I still think it's worth a try, but like I said, I strongly recommend using save states. It just makes the game a lot more fun. While Ninpen Manmaru never made it outside of Japan, the game is easily the most well-known part of the franchise in the English-speaking sphere. Though I gotta say, the most fun I had was watching the anime. What a charming little thing that is. And I'd love to read the manga too if I could find scans of it, or just, maybe have to go buy one online, I guess. I wish we got this localized in some way. Hopefully someone can make fan translations someday. I'd like to give it a go, but with the whole Popful Mail thing and asking my friend from Tokyo to help all the time since I'm not fluent, it's too big of a task for me at this moment, but maybe in the future as I keep learning the language and improving. That's all I got for you this time. Thanks for watching.